Hey everybody, it's your professional lovers in training, Patty.
And Al.
And we were a little non-committal about doing a recap of the reunion show last night, but then we decided, you know what? You guys deserve to have us summarize what we think were the top issues that we learned, talked about from this 10th season of Married at First Sight. So first, we're just going to do a little rundown of some of the things we saw. I purposely waited to DVR the show so that we wouldn't have to sit through all of the recaps. We were able to just fast forward through all of that, which is why we're posting this morning. So real quick, what did we see? Started out with Katie and Derek. They were the high drama of the evening, along with Taylor. But I think I'd rather kind of talk about Michael and Mika, because I appreciated the way they both apologized for their shortcomings or the things that they could have done better in a relationship, especially Mika coming forth and being able to see how kind of harsh and unyielding she could be.
Right.
Which we had talked about before, and the need to balance, I think we both like her no nonsense.
She's straightforward. You know exactly what you're going to get with Mika.
And you know exactly where she stands, and she just wants the same type of interaction. But you do have to balance that with being a little bit more nurturing and knowing when to create a safe, soft place for your partner to land so that they feel comfortable opening up.
True.
And Michael never really felt comfortable opening up.
Which is why he kind of defended his actions. Even though he apologized, he still defended them. But again, he had other issues that he just had to deal with when it comes down to relationships. Because we saw certain things that he would do regarding his understanding of how people can be, because he deals with children.
Right.
And he's patient with them, and he's tolerable, he's confident. But when it he's confident. But when it came down to relationships, where he has to be transparent and a little bit more forthright and vulnerable.
And he wasn't confident.
He was not.
Yeah. So that was kind of clear to see. So we were glad to see that. What else?
I mean, it's such it is a recap. When it comes.
Oh, and I did not like the way the host kept putting Michael on the spot to talk for Brandon. And when they were going through that, and I think you were kind of questioning, well, why? I mean, right is right, wrong is wrong. And I said before it even came out, this is a black man trying to defend a black man, the only two black men on the show.
And to not be vilified.
Right, and he was trying to have his back as a black man, and that came out when Michael left the set.
One-on-one with the host.
Right. Yeah. And so, I get that.
Yeah.
And I did not. I wish Michael had the confidence to say on camera, on set, exactly. I don't appreciate being put in this position. I don't think it's right. I can't speak for Brandon and his marriage, even though, yes, we were friends. I mean, he said that it came out on camera in the back, but I wish he had the confidence to say that right there on the set in front of everybody else, right? But at least it got said, and I was totally behind him 100% for that, because we can't talk about someone else. We can only comment on what we see, and as one of our subscribers has pointed out repeatedly, when you're dealing with reality TV, you don't see everything behind the scenes. And we've said that even from the beginning when we were starting this recap. So we know that is part of the fabric of this kind of a show, and why we really talked about issues and behavior rather than stuff that we couldn't see or tell. So no real surprises for the other stuff. Don't really want to address the drama, but I think we could summarize the issues that we've talked about and that we think are important in building any relationship, especially if you're going toward marriage or you're already married. And
if you're intentional about having a relationship,
right,
and maintaining a relationship,
a positive relationship.
Yes.
So, first thing, commitment.
Definitely.
Commitment.
It's critical. I mean, in committing, you have to take a step back, because now when you're sharing and you're taking into consideration another person's existence into your life, you have to take into consideration who they are, what they're about, even
where they're coming from, how they're different from you.
Exactly. And that is critical. How much differently they think about things than you do.
Right.
Now, to get someone that is parallel to you, that can make it easy and more comfortable. Mm-hmm. But you still have to take into consideration their thought, their process, their timing, all kinds of little things that you wouldn't otherwise think about. But when you're in a relationship, you have to kind of back up and realize that they are individuals and they have the right to think and do anything they choose to. You know, as long as it's not offensive to you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it may appear to be offensive to you, but in communicating, you can find out that that's just how they are. Like Mika. I'm sure Michael felt offended by her, but that's just the way she is. Now, in her observance, she realized that she didn't have to be that way all the time.
Right.
And that was a learning experience for her. Mm-hmm. But that's what a relationship is all about. You're learning yourself because you're learning yourself with somebody else. Yeah, you may be comfortable with you, you may know you, but when it comes down to sharing you, you know, you have to realize whether or not you're selfish. You know, do you want to share you? How much of you do you want to share? Do you want to share all of you? And when it comes down to marriage, you have to be willing to share all of you, which is difficult. And it takes work, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes commitment.
Right. And that's why you have to be committed.
Yeah.
Because it takes work, effort, time, mm-hmm. practice, you know. And so patience. And you brought out some other things. Communication, mm-hmm. being paramount, and everyone has different communication styles.
Yes.
And again, if you are blessed enough to have a partner who shares your communication style, mm-hmm. like we're blessed mm-hmm. that we share each other's communication style, that's great. But still, male, female, we still are going to process and communicate some things differently. Yeah. So, communication, getting to know yourself. Everybody has natural personality traits, strong and weak. And you already know how to play to your strengths, but you also need to know how to manage your weaknesses. True. So that they don't become obstacles. True. In the relationship building process.
Or that they don't stay weaknesses.
Right. Knowing how you define love, knowing how you like love shown to you, mm-hmm. as well as learning to be observant as to how your partner defines love and receives love. Yeah. So that you're not forcing your love style right. onto your partner. True. Because that's going to create more clashes than it's going to create partnership. All right. What other thing? You said patience, letting things evolve, especially if you're in the dating phase. Just letting things evolve naturally, not mm-hmm. having this timeline that, you know, this has to happen by here and this has to happen by here. You know, if you can, take all those strings off and just let it evolve.
Yeah, my saying is expectations bring on disappointments, because you place restrictions on what you think should happen between two individuals, yourself and someone else, who is totally separate from you. So what would make you think that your timeline is exactly what theirs is? So you have to be adaptable.
Right.
So.
Right. Did we hit them all? Being careful how often you let other people give you opinions about your marriage and about your relationship. Your moms, your dads, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your best friends, and everybody's got opinions, but especially in a marriage relationship, that should be very limited.
Very, very.
If you need counseling, it's better to go to a third party who has no skin in the game with either of you.
Objectivity. Yeah, really.
Complete objectivity, so that they can tell you about yourself as well as the person.
And again, that's about honesty and transparency. I mean, someone who, like Patty just said, being able to tell you about you.
Right, because you're the only one.
Go ahead.
What were we going to say? You're the only one that you can change. Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't change your partner. You can only change yourself.
That's how communication style.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sickening. I know it's sickening, but that's how.
And in that commitment, never letting divorce be an option.
Exactly.
Which is why you need to take your time to ensure that you're getting the person who's right for you, because divorce should never be an option.
True.
If divorce is not an option, then you will work to resolve your issues and to build a strong relationship so that it will last for your lifetime.
Complete the job. I mean, it sounds very concrete and stale and stiff, but complete the job. There is no out. There's no going backwards. There's no recapturing how we used to be or what used to be. You have to build from where you are. And it's not to say that you can't recapture a feeling of where you were at a particular time, but it's a situation in which you grow from where you are. And if you come across hurdles and obstacles and incidences that really irk you and both of you just get very bitter, for lack of a better term, with one another, do not believe that you cannot move past that.
Right.
Because that's progress. By getting past that, you know at least one additional way of not to relate to one another. So, I mean, just like any invention that took place, it went through a bunch of beta processes.
Trials, right.
But it eventually got to being wherever it is that made it
work
what it is. And just like any relationship that gets to 25, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, a lifetime, don't think that was, a 2-lane highway that went straight and there's no mountains in front of you and you just kept on going. No.
Never.
Trust me, there's it's like a heart monitor. If it's not going up and down,
you're dead.
You ain't living. And that's the same with a relationship. A relationship goes up and down. That lets you, to me, that's invigorating. It's not that you look for situations to deal with, but they're gonna happen.
You don't have to look for them.
They're organic.
They find you.
Right. Because you are individuals.
And humans.
Yeah. And
human beings.
You don't have to allow them to become catastrophic. But that's where communication comes in. Because something that becomes catastrophic didn't just boom. It's not an atom bomb. It just didn't blow up. You allowed it to fester and manifest itself to the point where you're now just pissed off. But you weren't comfortable when it first started. But you allowed it to continue. So that communication, because you can't expect when something bothers you that your spouse automatically knows if you don't let them know. So, communication, just be transparent with one another. Hey, we used to have a little word. I like Mika. Mika's transparent, straightforward. I just like the fact that she don't hold nothing back and you know exactly where she stands. I know a lady similar to that.
And that's why he was attracted to me. He likes that kind of personality.
I like a strong woman.
Yeah, I think that I do have a certain amount of balance.
Well, no, you do.
To that.
No, you're not Mika. You have a strong will. That's all.
And opinions.
Yeah.
And I don't back down. And I let you know exactly where you stand. Yeah. But you said we had a word.
There was a word that because it was a situation where I was like, okay, that was a little bitey. You know, I mean.
And if either of us said something that came across that way, then we would just say, bitey.
Bitey.
And, sorry, okay. How could I have said that
exactly.
a different way? And we've actually, and that really, I think, was a turning point in our communication with each other. And getting over that hurdle of, acting like something was wrong, but not wanting to say that something was wrong, and instead feeling comfortable and vulnerable enough to say, yeah, I didn't, that was bitey. Yeah. And that was a turning point in our communication.
And in essence, it's just creating techniques and tools within your relationship that will get you through whatever situation you come across.
That will give you signals.
Right.
And allow each other to practice a different way until it becomes habitual. Yeah. That way it becomes habitual. So there you go. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel and tuning in for our weekly recaps. Now, this is not going to be the end. We feel strongly that we need to keep posting things every week.
We appreciate your responses.
So we're going to be looking at some other shows and gleaning some issues that we can talk about, that we can give you basically our experience on, because I'm sure that there are several things that we have encountered in our own relationship. And so don't think that this is going to be the end of our posting. We're going to keep posting until we either start another season 11 of Married at First Sight, or, some other show that we think would be relevant to what we want to share with you. So thanks again. And we're getting ready to go and do some quarantine work.
Because ultimately, we're still in training too.
Absolutely. So see you next time. Peace.
Be safe.